Uh-huh.
And I'm just trying to find it.
Very interesting.
Where's it gone? Oh, here it is. You see that?
Hold on.
Shamanic Egyptian astrology.
Shamanic Egyptian astrology.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
In here, it's got
Interesting.
like it's got like what all the planets are in Egyptian, and so we can just go through it quickly if you want me to tell you the names and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's got even all the signs as well. We'll just go through it quickly.
Yeah, I want to expose myself to all forms and branches of astrology, all of it.
Yeah, man, it's good to. Yeah, so the planets, let's go through them. It's even got the elements. We'll go through it quickly. So yeah. So Anubis is Chiron.
What is exactly Chiron? Like,
Do you
what does it
know
represent? I know that it's
Chiron is in between? Chiron is the wounded healer. It orbits in between Saturn and Uranus.
isn't Chiron a meteor?
Yeah, it's like I guess it's similar to like Neptune and Pluto, but let me just read you the introduction of what it says about Chiron.
Sure.
It's, it says, "Hail to Anubis, shaman priest, an original wolf spirit from the blue star and walker between the worlds. No longer an outcast, you emerge from the shadows to claim your honourable birthright. You were born of 2 royal mothers and 2 royal fathers, and are brother to a new king, Horus. Anubis, you have walked the spiritual path of death and rebirth. Your wounds have become the gifts you offer for the healing of the world." Well, that makes sense because Chiron is the wounded healer. That's like someone who's been through the wars but has all the wisdom, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But like that might be like where I don't know. Are you sure where Chiron is in your chart?
I think I think it's in Sagittarius, but it's like a far. Because
It's a
I've
far
seen it
guess. You're
one.
not sure.
Yeah, it's a far guess. I've
But,
seen it like way back, but I think it's in Sagittarius.
yeah. Well, let me just go through the main. It says the sun is called Amun Ra. The moon
Hmm.
is called Khonsu.
We should
Uh,
we should do a talk on that also, like explaining Christianity through the zodiac or astrology, connecting them together.
yeah, yeah. We could definitely do that. I mean, obviously Santos is the man for that. He's got millions of presentations, but
Yeah.
I still know it all on a very basic level. Like for example, like you see, I talk about like ages and stuff,
Mm.
or like the Bible story is going through the ages basically. Like for example, Adam and Eve is Gemini because it's the
Uh-huh.
twins. Then you got the age of Taurus, which is Moses with the rams, with Moses and the golden calf and whatnot.
Wow.
And then Moses blows the ram's horn. Well, that's Aries, obviously. And then you have Jesus and the 2 fish, which is Pisces.
I see, yeah.
And then in the Bible, Jesus says, "Walk into the house where the man will be pouring the water." So obviously,
It's
it's talking about the
Aquarius.
age of Aquarius because the ages go backwards. So
Yeah.
even like the story of the Bible, it's talking about the ages going backwards, and that's why like Moses did certain things, and like he blew, like I said, he blew a ram's horn because that's to do with the age of Aries. and he had the golden calf, and that was to do with the age of Taurus, and then Jesus with the two fish is the age of Pisces. So this is called astrotheology, what we're talking about at the moment.
Yeah,
It's
astrotheology.
showing how they've used astrology through theology, basically, by I can never say this word, anthropomorphizing characters, which they're I can never say the word anthropomorphize. I think that's how you say it. Basically, what they're doing is they're making the stars into like human characters. So that's what they've done with like Jesus, and obviously Jesus is Jupiter. It's Jupiter Zeus, but it is the sun as well, because what that means is like the sun takes on the name of the ruler of the sign, if that makes sense. So that's why Jesus was the sun, because Jupiter ruled Pisces.
Jesus was a Pisces. It would make sense.
No, Jesus. Jesus had Jesus and the two fish. That's why he had two fish.
Right. Yeah, Jesus was. I was like, that would make sense. It's interesting. I was studying this one Vedic astrology lady, and she was in a sense like explaining the planets and their relationships, but what she did was, she separated them in two groups, and she made this hierarchy, right? And she was explaining how the sun, the moon, the sun, the moon, and Mars, and Jupiter, these are all together, in the sense that hierarchically, the sun would be the king, and then the moon would be the king's queen, and then Mars would be the protector of the king, and then Jupiter would be the advisor whom gives advice, and then now Saturn, Mercury, and Venus, these are more of the commons people, like I guess Saturn would, in a sense, represent like the struggles that the commons people go through, and the rebellion they have against the king, and then Mercury would represent the means of which they rebel, which would be like communication, expression, maybe through music and things of that nature, and then Venus would be another form of expression, but through arts, like how in the past people would rebel through their art and their music. I was like, this is interesting, but
Wow, that's a very interesting concept. It makes sense,
yeah.
but I also know Saturn as the king as well, because
Saturn.
Saturn is the ruler of time, and that's where Saturn used to be called Kronos in ancient Greek mythology, and Kronos is where you get the word crown from. And Saturn is the crown, the purple chakra.
Yeah.
It represents Saturn. That's why you see a lot of royals, they wear like purple on their head, because it's like they symbolize that Saturnian energy. So there's always different ways of looking at it, and I really find that interesting. It makes sense though, because but what people don't understand is that, for example, it's either attributed to like Venus, or like Satan or Saturn, or something evil, but Lucifer just simply means a light bearer. So all the planets are Lucifers. Do you get what I'm saying? Because Lucifer's about the electromagnetic spectrum, the 7 colours. It's more to do with the material realm and the soul, rather than the black source light, like the firmament, is more to do with the spirit and mind. So, all the planets are Lucifer because they're all light bearers. You get what I mean? But a lot of people just attribute it to Venus, or maybe to Saturn, or to whatever one they attribute it to. I've seen so many different versions, but this is the thing. People don't look at what the word actually means. Because the sun's Lucifer as well, because the sun is light as well.
Yeah,
it's just people who worship Lucifer are worshipping the electrical world, rather than, you don't worship the effect. We look at the cause. Like what you were saying about the software and the hardware the other day.
Yeah, biology and
Well, the
astrology.
software is God. Yeah, exactly. Well, the software is God, and the hardware is creation of God. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh, that's
It's called
interesting.
like demiurge. It's called like,
I mean, it makes, it's also the feminine and the masculine as well. Always goes down to that. Is I think the sun, I mean the moon and Saturn also oppose each other. I feel like, Saturn is all about materialism. Meanwhile the moon is all about mentalism. It's the mind, it's like
yeah.
it's our subconscious mind, unconscious mind. This is like, I guess it's said that the moon is where all of our past lives are stored, and in a sense it's also like our markaba. It's how we get out of this world. It's said, I forgot.
Yeah,
Ooh, it
because
was
it is,
Lee.
because it's the closest. It's the closest one to us. The moon is
Yeah,
closest to the earth.
yeah, yeah.
So our moon
So,
is the gateway to heaven, but it's also the gateway to the earth as well. When you're
yeah.
descending from the heavens
Well,
coming to earth.
yeah. I was talking to Lee, and he was explaining how like the sun is electric, it's pushing. The moon is magnetic, it's pulling. So the way he
Yeah.
explained it was, we enter into this realm through the
Did you
sun
say the
because
sun's
this.
electric?
Yeah, isn't it? Well, it's both,
It
but
is,
I think it is electric.
but if you understand it, they're actually both,
Yeah.
because the sun's electric its in its kind of what I mean by that is like it penetrates the earth to grow
Hmm.
things and to help plants grow. But when you look at it visually, it's magnetic because the light's radiating outwards. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's more magnetism.
Radiating
Like visually,
upwards.
it looks
But isn't
feminine.
magnetic? Isn't magnetic coming inward though? Inwardly,
No,
pulling in.
no. Magnetic is going outwards. Coming inwards is dielectric.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah,
No, I'm confused.
yeah, because what I'm saying is everything physical we see or whatever is electric, but what I'm saying is like magnetism is force and motion and it radiates outwards like this, whereas dielectricity goes this way, inwards towards the source. Do you get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So magnetism, like the sun, when you look at the sun, its light is coming outwards. It's not. Do you get what I mean? It radiates light outwards. So visually, it's magnetic, but its effect is masculine because it penetrates the earth for
Hmm.
things to grow. Do you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you can look at it two different ways. This is what I was all like. I think I mentioned this in the other video, but like everything has a masculine and a like feminine,
A feminine, yeah.
yeah, like polarity, like in this world. Because like if you think about the moon, it's always connected with the feminine, right?
Hmm.
But if visually, when you look at it, it doesn't radiate outwards. It's more like calm and like more. It's just there. So that's more. That's more like visually, it's more masculine. But what it actually does is feminine, and it's the vice versa with the sun. Yeah, it looks feminine, but what it actually does is masculine because it penetrates the earth for things to grow, and we know the earth is like feminine because it's the mother earth, hence because it produces us, it produces its children like goods for us to eat and stuff like that. Do you get what I mean? So there's always like what people have to remember is you can look at it from two different ways. Do you get what I mean? It just depends on how you look at it, but both are right, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's like some people say, "Oh, tropical astrology is wrong," and Vedic astrology is right or vice versa, but they're both right. They're just two different ways of looking at things.
Exactly.
Tropical is looking at it more on a natural, earthly, material way, and I think like the Indian East system is looking at it more from a mental and a spiritual kind of way. So they're both right, but they're just different ways of looking at it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely get what you mean.
Because
It's
like
interesting.
because Mercury is known as obviously a hermaphrodite, because
Yeah.
Mercury is represented by, you know, like Hermes, who's got the staff.
With the two
Like
snakes.
with the Ida and Pingala, that's the electric and magnetic um, coils going around,
Pulses.
obviously. Huh?
I said pulses. Don't isn't the doesn't electric
Pulses.
and magnetic both pulse? Hmm.
Magnetic pulses. Magnetic pulses and electric vibrates. Electric's blue red.
Okay.
But magnetic is dum dum, dum dum, dum dum. Do you get what I mean? It's like, you know, Santos explained it in your show where, you know, if you chucked a stone in the pond,
And it
it creates
bounces.
like a ripple, doesn't it?
Hmm.
So that's like a pulse. Whereas if you chuck something up in the air, it's not a pulse. It's like up and down. It's vibratory. So there's different types of waves, basically.
Yeah.
So it just that comes to understanding like just how energy works and what red shift is and what blue shift is and what's more spiritual and what's more physical. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, for example, you know, like we was talking about the chakras as well.
Right.
Well, the chakra is the root. The red chakra is your root chakra. And the reason being is because the red chakra has 4 petals, so it moves at a very like slow kind of rate. It's like it's slow. Hence why if you look at the bottom half of your body, there's not really much going on. You've just got your legs and like your muscles and stuff like that, and it's more the foundation. But if you look at the top half of
Saturn.
your body, sorry?
I said Saturn.
Yeah, but if you look at the top half of your body, where all your organs are and all, there's a lot going on. That's blue shift. Whereas the bottom half, which is like the foundation and the more solid, is red shift. So then that's how you can understand like red shift, blue shift. Red shift is more like solid and structure and
Masculine.
foundation. Again, it's both. It's both because the earth is feminine. So, and the earth is solid. So it just depends on which way you look at
Yeah.
it.
I think the
That's
Earth is
what I'm
both.
saying. It's not
Because
like
I
this is the,
think think the Earth is both because Virgo is an Earth sign too. I think Virgo is
yeah,
you know
Virgo is an earth sign, yeah.
you know
But Virgo is a
and
feminine sign
yeah, right. But what I'm getting
in
at is
astrology.
the Earth is very filled with detail, structure, and organizations and things of that nature.
Yeah.
It's very structured and things of that nature. So it's like in a sense, if you look into nature, you do see both masculine and feminine.
Well, if you think about Saturn in Capricorn, who rules the earth, right? So
How come we never gave the Earth a ruling sign? Like that's I know that in esoteric astrology, Earth rules Sagittarius.
yeah, Sagittarius, I think, yeah. That's because of like the different models. Like astrology has never been seen like that. The Earth, because it depends. Like Like with me, I don't believe like the heliocentric model that the Earth is spinning around and all that kind of stuff. So we look at everything from the Earth's perspective. It's geocentric. That's why the Earth doesn't rule. Because the Earth's not really a planet, it's more of an element. Does that make sense?
No, because the Earth holds elements in it.
But what I'm saying is one of the four elements is Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so like what I'm saying is maybe the Earth is more of it's more of a mind state rather than an actual, because element means mind.
Yeah, mentee.
Yeah, so if Earth is an element, then it must be a mind state. It's just
What does Ella
more,
mean?
huh?
What
L,
is L? God, right? L is God.
yeah, that's right, yeah. L refers to God or to Saturn as well,
The
but it's
God
God.
mind. Whoa.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Because Al in like the Muslim world, where they say Allah,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. L, because again, E and an A are quite similar in the sense that like, because they say like the quintessence.
Elohim.
Yeah, Elohim, exactly. Yeah, because
Elohim,
they say like,
Elohim. Same thing in
yeah,
a sense.
Allahum. Yeah,
You know, it's also interesting. In a sense, an A is like this and an E is like just flipped.
yeah, but an A and E are very similar in the thing. Because if you look, for example, yeah, no, I can't explain it on here. Like, you got one is an A,
Mm-hmm.
B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, and E is 5. So it's like what you was talking about, you know, like with 1 and 9, how 1 is the other day in our show you explained how like
Yeah.
1 is
One
the
is
first
like
and 5 is the last. Well, 1 unity. So it's kind of the same, but if that makes sense, because they call the ether, the source, the quintessence, and quint means 5. So an A and an E are similar in their, how can I say, their energies are similar, but they're different as well, if that makes sense. Like for example, what other letters are like that? Like a B and a P have got similar b. They've
yeah.
got it's like it's percussive. Do you get what I'm saying? Whereas L is like more liquid. Does that make sense? The letters have their elements as well. Because A and E are vowels as well.
Mm-hmm.
The A, E, I, O, U. You know that, you know the saying
IOU.
no, I, O, A, E, IOUM, that are, they do like a chant, you know, like the Om chant. If you
Yeah.
like say I, you will feel all the, when you say each letter, you will feel the chakras, you will actually feel it going through your body. So if you say you will feel this part of your body, and then E, you'll feel this part, and then
Mm-hmm.
this part, right, and then it literally goes down the spinal column.
Right, yeah.
So if you keep
No,
saying that as a meditation, it's like you're
yeah.
making your torus field rotate.
Very interesting. Yeah, you know, Santos went into that in our previous talk. He explained it.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
interesting.
Do you know what a didgeridoo is?
What?
A didgeridoo.
I don't.
Have you seen the Aboriginal people in Australia? They play this like, it's like this big instrument. It's a really long stick. and it makes like these like noises, like, like when you say
Yeah.
the I thing, it sounds like that. If you keep saying that and repeating it, you'll kind of go into a trance, and then you'll get into like a little rhythm, and then it's a form of meditation.
Uh-huh.
So like that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like you can connect. So this is what I love talking about. Like these kind of things. There's so many things that it can connect to. Like, but do you know another really interesting book, Solly? Can you see this book?
The new astrology.
Yeah. Basically, this is a woman. What she's done. Have you looked into Chinese astrology at all?
I haven't yet.
What year was you born in?
2001.
Okay. So basically, the way it works with Chinese astrology is each year has an animal. So you would be born
I
in
think
the
I was a
year of.
snake.
Are you a snake? Let me
Yeah, I
see.
think I'm a snake.
2001. Yeah. You say 2001 you're born.
Yeah, 201.
So you're a Gemini snake, and there's an actual. Let me read you Gemini snake.
Sure.
Gemini monkey. Gemini goat. This is a really funny book. This is a really cool book, actually. Gemini snake. Right. So I'll read this for you. On the top, it says quick-wittedness, impatience, intuition, dissimulation, glibness. There's like all these little, I don't know if you can see this. There's all these little like words describing it.
Right.
But let me read it to you. Let me read the description to you. And see if you agree with it. It says a paradoxical character is a Gemini snake. If he can get a good grip on the specialness that is his natural endowment from birth, this person is qualified for true greatness. The Gemini snake is a thinker. Imagine the lucky combination of reflection and intuition. The marriage of two signs is fortuitous indeed. But this headly mixture of influences is a veritable minefield of pitfalls as well. People born in Gemini snake are sitting ducks for both Byzantine disillusion and rank laziness. Is that true? Hello?
Delusions and did you just say I might have the tendency? Holy crap. Sorry, you were like cutting off and on.
It's going a bit weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Did you say I might have the tendency to fall into illusions and delusions or something like that?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'll read it again.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it says you're frozen. You're frozen though.
Yeah, you are too.
Yeah, cool. So it says, okay.
Okay, yeah, we dropped, but we're back. It should be better now.
Okay, cool. So yeah, it says every single day of their lives, these people must bite the bullet and grit their teeth pretty much to get out of bed in the morning. I said, is that true?
No, I love getting up in the morning.
Oh, so
On the contrary, Geminis tend to be productive.
yeah, it says maybe this yellow jaundice of spirit comes from too much intuitive knowledge of the perils and disappointments each Gemini snake sees ahead. It is as if this person is sensed how deeply he affects the world, and he really tries, and for that reason he simply desists before he begins. It is inevitable that the combination of signs give us a performing snake, the actor or actress with a overdeveloped brain. the show business personality with a weighty intellectual baggage, the irresistibly cheery political figure with heartbreak written across his smile. The Gemini snake's hereditary dice are loaded. What did you think of that?
It was cool. It was pretty interesting.
Did it resonate with you though?
Yeah, most of it, but not all of it.
Yeah.
I feel like me. I feel like in a sense, transcending most of these general explanations for Gemini.
Yeah. This is a book. I just found it in the charity shop and I read it. It's quite interesting, for learning like Chinese astrology and stuff, because it gives you like a different kind of outlook on how they see the elements. And like, for example, I'll show you.
It's pretty cool though. My natal sun opposes my natal Pluto. So the way this has manifested in my life, I realize is that whenever my ego goes out of hand, Pluto tends to put me in check by causing dramatic transformations.
Yeah.
Like for instance, I feel like recently a dramatic transformation occurred. So I smoked let me see, 56 grams of weed in just 2 weeks, right? And
56.
in 2 weeks I
Hey,
smoke a
56.
lot. I said 56 grams, bro. I smoke a
Wow.
lot, dude.
Wow, that's because I smoke, but not 56 grams, bro. Maybe the most is like 7 in a week. But generally, but to be fair, I've cut down a lot. And what is it, indica or sativa?
It was indica. Wait, one was
Wow,
in.
you
So I
must have
smoked
slept.
28 grams of indica and then 28 grams of hybrid. Hybrid is like both. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. But see, you're a Gemini, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've actually, this is another really good talk we can do on astrology and weed. I've done a bit of research on this.
I want to do that. Like I always wonder, yo, what the fuck,
Bro,
because
I've come to a conclusion of I've clocked I'm not saying I'm an expert on it, but I've clocked a little pattern. I find that people who are like earth and water signs, I would say sativas are better for them, because if you're already grounded and earthy, an indica, see, this is the difference of getting stoned and getting high. Indicas get you stoned and sativas get you high. So
oh wow,
I
it's
say if you're an earth or water sign and you're
smoke
material,
sativa.
you don't want to get stoned because you're already down. So I'd
Yeah,
say you would have to have a sativa to bring you back up. Whereas if you're a fire and air sign, I would say an indica is better for you because it brings you back down.
yeah.
Does that make
You know what's
sense?
interesting? I prefer sativa.
Yeah. Same me as well. I prefer sativa
Yeah.
because I think it's better for when you're researching and doing. I think indica's just for like literally if you finish work and like you got stiff muscles and you just want to relax and chill out. That's what indica's for. But to get
Yeah.
creative, it's all about sativa.
Yeah, exactly. I mentioned cannabis being a transformational vehicle, and I really think it is because, when I smoked, I was, they say Geminis have alter personalities, and this is very true.
Yeah.
As I study esoteric astrology, what I came to realize, okay, so wait, let me say this. When I was 16 years old, I went through some crazy shit. So when I was 14 years old, I got shot, right, like in the
Yeah,
chest.
you told
And
me. You
and
told
yeah,
me. Yeah.
and this was all Pluto putting me in check because my ego was just all over the place. So after that, I did have an awakening at 15 and then ego death at 15, and then I just started like wondering, like like, who the fuck am I? Like, why am I here? Like, when I got out of the hospital, there was this point in my life where I felt like, wait, am I dead? And am I like in another paradigm? Like in another reality? Like
Yeah, in another
how
realm. Yeah,
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 exactly. Like, how am I supposed to know that this isn't a possibility? But so, a while I was just smoking weed, you know. But when I smoke weed, I'm also Pisces ascendant, so I do tend to utilize cannabis as a form of escapism, you know. So I wasn't just escaping my reality and all the crazy shit. Like I wasn't really dealing with the issues. Like I was really victimizing myself. Like I was really blaming the guy who shot me for my issues, and then one day I was like, I need to get my shit together. So I stopped smoking. And there was this book that came to me. It was this book on self-discipline. So, I got it. It was an audiobook. So I would listen to it. And this guy, was just talking about self-discipline, talking about responsibility and things of that nature. So I got myself disciplined, And then what had happened was there was a split in my personality, in the sense that the way I felt was like this vessel I'm in a sense, is like I used slave. I did, and I felt it as like this vessel was a slave for my higher self, for me to get done what I needed to do. So I started utilizing this vessel for me to do what I needed to do on this earth. So I stopped playing around, and then later on, like just recently, that guy who was talking about esoteric astrology was talking about this. It was just like how um at the esoteric level, the split between Gemini is the higher self and the lower self. I'm like, holy shit, I've gone through that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
man.
pretty cool.
Brother, like, I can say like if I didn't smoke weed, I was very late. I started smoking when I was 30, only
Yeah,
like 5, 6 years ago. That
yeah,
literally just brought me to like a different world, next level. I got into all this stuff, and it's amazing because it just literally, it's like, what, again, it goes back to what you were saying about, I was stuck in the hardware biology for 30 years of my life, but once I had that Mary Jane, it
hmm
got me to understand the software and how things work mentally and spiritually. And I'm so happy for coming across it and experimenting with it. It's made me a lot. I think it's brought the more true self out of me. Do you get what I mean? Whereas before I was just going along with society and, just to please your parents or whatever. But now I am me, and I'm thankful for that. I mean, it can be such a, if used in a proper way, like anything, if you use it instead of abuse it, then
right,
it can help you.
definitely. What's it called? Mary Jane, she is the most seductive plant. She's the most seductive plant, in the what's it call it? In the planet kingdom, I want to say, like, she's the most seductive plant, like she can really seduce us. So it's like up to you. Like, are you being seduced by her, or are you doing the seducing? Because we
Exactly, or that's what I'm saying. Like, because like you can use it, and like, for example, you can just get like smoke, and just get out of your head, and like, but then you won't be productive. Does that make sense? It's like we have to try and use it in a productive way rather than just doing it just to get off your head.
Mhm.
Which
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that, because I think that sometimes them states of when you really got high are the ones where you learn the most lessons, because you got deep into your psyche and
mhm.
you thought, shit, man. Like, a lot of the reason why people don't like, or to say, oh, it gets me paranoid, or this, it makes me, it's because it shows them the real truth. And some people, hence the saying, the truth hurts. So some people can't face that truth, and they start panicking and start saying, oh, it's making me go mad. No, it's not making you go mad. It's just you can't face the truth. That's why you think it's making you go mad. Does that make
Right,
sense?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it really does do that. You're so right. Because like whenever I smoke, like let's say I stop smoking for like months on end, and then I start smoking again, what happens is I always become like self-analytical. Like I get into third party in a sense, and I'm observing myself. So, in a sense, it's like I sit back, and now me, the life I've previously been living, I'm not particularly attached to that, but I'm perceiving it like, what have I done? And it is showing me what I've done, and for me, it's always a nice experience because when I smoke, I get to like step out of doing and just being, and I get to see all of the things I've done. And yes, I do tend to be very proud. I'm like, wow, look at all this shit I've done. Pretty dope.
Yeah, man, it brings
Yeah,
you
I
to
think
your
it's pretty
true
cool.
essence because, like, you see, like, in our body, we have cannabinoid receptors, basically.
Mhm.
So
It
our
said,
body, like,
I was just gonna say, it said that the mother's milk or breast milk has CBD in it.
exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why we get that euphoric state when you ingest it because it's bringing you back to your true essence of how you feel. Like, you see, like, when you feel euphoric or like when you
Hmm.
have sex and you bust a nut and that orgasm state, or
Hmm.
that state is, they say that that is your state when you're not in a body. That's how you always feel, like that euphoric state,
Yeah.
basically. That's why
Not to
when you smoke,
mention, not to mention meditation. Like, I've, the way back, I did like start meditating, and I went like, I think it was like 4 months just straight up meditating, but then I stopped, But then I went back at it, and recently I just started meditating again, and when I meditate and actually silence my mind, I gain relaxation. It's so amazing. Like after I'm done, I can just sit back and, be in a state of bliss and euphoria, and I'm just like, damn, this shit is dope.
but yeah, man. I mean, like, as long as you're using it in a positive way, it's all good, man. Because at the end of the day, it's never gonna, it can't kill you. If anything, it's gonna give you life because it kills cancer cells. It gets rid of it. It realigns all your cells in your body, and it makes your body run perfectly. It's an amazing plant. But
Yeah, it is.
unfortunately, because of the type of system we live in, it doesn't suit the system that we're trapped in of getting up
Definitely.
and going to work and not like helping you like look past all these lies that they're feeding us. That's why it's illegal, not because it's bad for you. It's because, just think, like, if everyone smoked and realised what's going on, that
Hmm.
then people wouldn't do anything, or people wouldn't have to go to the hospital because it cures all arthritis, cancer, it cures people with seizures. It's it's an amazing herb. It does so many good things. So they don't want us to know this because then the pharmaceutical industry will lose millions and millions of pounds. Where there's all these people, they like think, oh, they get cancer, and then they think, oh, that's it. When there's so many herbal remedies out there,
Hmm.
but it's just because we're suppressed from this information.
Yeah,
People
we
just
should.
go ahead with what the doctors tell them. Do you get what I mean?
Exactly.
Where
Yeah, we should also do a talk on the medical industry and how it's like they're not there to help us. They're here to profit. They don't have patients. They have customers.
exactly, and if also they don't have cures, they have treatments.
Treatments.
But all
Yeah.
they're doing is, a treatment means they're just treating your mind. They're not like, so
Ah,
they make you feel
yeah, I know.
like, oh, like, you go to a doctor and all of a sudden you get better because you think that they're helping you, but they're not actually helping you. They're just treating your mind. It's a
Hmm.
mind. Whereas if you're healing someone or if you're healthy, if you break down the word healthy, it says heal, die. That's what healthy said. That's what health. If you break down healthy in 2 syllables, it's
Hmm.
heal, die. Spells
Right.
healthy.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Do you get what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
like, this is the difference. Like, whereas they're just treating your mind, but they're not healing you.
Exactly. You know, what's interesting is all of the hippies and, you know, everybody who's cool with weed, we're all excited because it's getting legalized all over the place. You know, but the
Yeah,
problem with that is that weed that's being legalized, that shit is genetically modified, and the way they grow it, they don't grow it from a natural means. It's all
exactly,
these
brother.
chemicals and shit. You know, it's like
You're. How old are you, brother?
18,
18.
man.
That's what I'm saying, and you have the knowledge to know that. Whereas all these sheeps out there will go out think yes, but they don't even know what's been put in it. Or do you get what I'm saying? Like, and
Yeah.
this is the difference of what I was saying the other day in our show. Is like some
Hey,
people just
man.
go along with it rather than actually knowing. Do you get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, they're just
Exactly.
going along with it. Oh, it's legal, like you said. They go to a coffee shop or some government run place, and like you said, it's probably full of GMOs and
Not
like stuff.
probably, it is.
Yeah, exactly. So like, you're spot on there, man. Totally, I agree. And like that, this is what people like, whether it's legal or not, is besides the point, really. Because like I say, like, because even if it's not, people will still smoke it or use
Exactly.
it. You get what I'm saying? So it's
Oh,
better off that we like
yeah.
kind of utilize it in our own way rather than, like you said, the government do it and put all this shit in it and whatnot. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
That
tobacco
makes.
as well.
Uh-huh.
If you actually, like the Native Americans, they use, like, tobacco is really sacred for them. But obviously, the tobacco that they smoke in their fields don't have
Hmm.
1,000 chemicals, so it doesn't. It
Yeah.
actually helps them because it just relaxes their brain and their mind. But it's as soon as it gets commercialized and capitalized, that's when the devil puts his imprint on it and it becomes cancerous or it kills you. Or do you get what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
that's a really good point you picked up on, and
I
I'm happy
mean,
you have the mind to
yeah.
see that and the knowledge and the research. Do you get what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah, and it's so crazy how they've took cannabis, they've concentrated, and now people are going to the hospital from smoking that concentrated weed. It's crazy,
Yeah.
man.
Do you know what's so mad you bring that up? I'll show you. I've got another book, right?
Hmm.
It's called Aphrodisiacs.
Yeah.
And in here, I think it mentions about how cannabis is used as an aphrodisiac. And let me see if I can find it and
Hold
just
on, hold
read
on.
you.
Wait, what exactly is an aphrodisiac?
An aphrodisiac is something that is used to kind of enhance your
Technically,
sexual.
no. Oh.
Huh?
Wait, yeah, I was off. Never mind. Keep talking.
Yeah. An aphrodisiac is connected. It's got it here. I'll read it to you. It says an aphrodisiac is connected with the foods and techniques and art of forms which different cultures have used to increase sexual desire and pleasure, basically. But there's some techniques they put in here that it will, like, just say for example, right, you're feeling really horny and lustful and you just, I'm just
Hmm.
using this as an example. Well, in here
Right.
it says that the Greeks used to uh, make their people have really cold showers because it will cool down the body. And then this was a way of you saving your seed. Like, let me see if I can
Wow.
find the exact. I'll read it to you. 1 second. Aphrodisiacs, Anansi. Yeah, it's all about literally. It's all about every herb and plant, and it tells you how it can help you sexually. Or so let me try and find that. Oh, where was it? I don't know what section it was in, but I've read it because yeah, look, it's even got about. I don't know if you can see.
You know, I also think because
The astrology wheel and all that in there talks about. I'll read it to you.
mm,
It says most of the early European herbalists believed that some correspondence between the zodiac and those plants which affect the human body. For example, a plant dedicated to Venus was thought to affect both sexual performance and function. Different parts of the body were also to be associated with the various astrological signs. This link could be either negative or positive and can therefore be included among occult aphrodisiacs. In caressing or massaging your lover, it may be useful to refer to illustrations of astrological correspondence included in Nicholas Kalupa's original Herbal. If your lover is a Taurian, it may be worth looking for erotic trigger points in the area of the neck. With a Cancerian, try the breast, and if the sun was in Scorpio when your partner was born, proceed straight to the genitals.
yeah, yeah, man, it's so interesting. I was reading this book, right, and it was an astrology book, and then they started talking. First, it was talking about diet, and then it started talking about the salt for the signs, and then they started talking about how to get sexual with the signs, and it was just talking about like where to touch which sign. I'm just like, yo, this is very interesting.
But I
But
think I
I
found
I also think because Venus is a feminine planet, I really do feel like it affects our Taurus. I mean, our Venus. My Venus is in Taurus. That's why I said that. I really think it
yeah,
affects us in a Taurian way or a Venus way. Like it really lets us tap into our Venus. Because
yeah,
me, I'm very sensual, and when I smoke weed, I do tend to become like very sensual, like tap into all of my senses.
yeah.
It's crazy.
I'm trying to think if I can find what I was
But
saying.
it's also interesting because there's this ideology of the senses being considered demons because what the
Yeah,
senses do is they're responsible for holding us back from ascension. Without the senses, we might not be lustful or any other thing. But yeah, that's also
definitely,
interesting too. So
definitely. But it just depends on how we use our senses. That's the thing. You can still use it in a good way or a bad way.
true. Yeah, that's very
You
true.
get what I mean? But I'm trying to find this. Where did I read it? I can't remember what section it was in. But yeah, this is a really interesting book. It's actually one day I went to the dump yard, and someone chucked a box away, and they had all these amazing books, and I just took them for free.
What?
So, so that was one. And let me see if I've got any other things to show you. Yeah, this is quite a good book.
Bro,
To
where is your Venus?
Libra,
Your Venus is in Libra.
yeah, third
Oh,
house.
that's interesting. I only asked because Libra it also shows third house. It also shows how we tend to acquire material. And to me it
Yeah.
seems like you acquire a lot of free books.
No, I do, but yeah, I do read books, but I'm not like a massive book reader. But like, yeah, this is a good book. Like, it's on like the chakras and stuff. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, another good book on the chakras is this one. I forgot the author, but the book is called The Wheels of Life. And it's this lady, and she goes through all of the chakras. It's a good book too.
Yeah, I've got some proper core astrology books, but the thing is, I don't have them here. I've borrowed them to someone. But when we do some shows, I want to read some stuff. I'm going to try and get it back before next week, because if we do this planet show, there's some interesting stuff in there I want to read out. It's a book called Practical Astrology. Again,
yes, that book.
I found it in a charity shop, and it was a really, really cool book.
I do think it's my Mercury influence, or just the fact that I'm very Geminian. But most of my books, I'm very connected to technology, but most of my books are on PDF. So I have like, I have a shit ton of books on my phone, and I have that book too, Practical Astrology. Like, I mean, I like it because the basics. It's like if you don't understand the basics, then your foundation is weak. So you should start with the basics and then build upon it. But yeah, it is basic, but it's still a good book.
Yeah, one
Practical
second.
Astrology.
Let's see what else yeah, no, this is not a bad book as well.
Where science and magic meet. It's interesting. It's interesting. Previously, in the past, let's say ancient times, someone perceiving an airplane flying through the sky, this would seem magical, but today it's science, and that's what magic is. It's just unproven science, And then one thing I like to say, bro, is the fact that we humans only perceive like less than 1% of the light spectrum, so it's like there's so much shit that we are not seeing. So we are naive to neglect magic,
Yeah, like in this Where Science Meets Magic book, there's a chapter called The Pineal Gland, Third Eye and Psychic Chakra. There's called Earth Magic, the sensitivity to Earth's magnetic field. You've got like the subliminal mind, and you've got natural magic, the goddess reawakening. It's actually a really good book, and the relationship between science. Again, like found it in a charity shop, literally. Like if you just have a little look around, you can find some gems, and like it's really cool. And this one is a good book about like Mayan astrology. It's called Maya Cosmogenesis.
Maya Cosmogenesis.
Yeah, they talk about like constellations and how they built particular like monuments in reference to particular constellations, and it's really interesting actually.
Yeah, to me, I find it to be just ridiculous how many people, well, now it's less, but how many people tend to disregard astrology to be a pseudoscience when it's in our past, like so many of these developed, I want to say advanced ancient civilizations, they utilized it, and that was why they were advanced, because they understood astrology, but on top of that, they utilized nature, and they respected nature.
Definitely. Yeah, man, it's crazy. Look, we've just done a talk, and it's like we've mentioned, for example, like 5 or 6 different topics, like briefly. But what I'm saying is, like each of them could be like a show. Does that make sense? So, like, it's crazy. Like someone watching this might think, "Oh, this is a lot of info," but literally, we've just like touched the surface.
Honestly, like we're just building, bro. Like we're just building.
Yeah, that's what it's about. Like, but yeah, like that, like the weed and astrology thing. I think we should definitely do one on that. That would be really interesting. And because there's like, I looked up like how particular strains are suited for particular people. 1 second, I've got it here. So I'll tell you like what the one for Gemini is.
Pretty cool.
Are you recording this?
Yeah, luckily it's all recorded. I'm thinking of like, releasing this.
yeah. What I'm saying is come out although it's natural, it's up to you. If you want to upload it, I don't mind at all.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So, there is
but
a lot of
sometimes these ones
information
are
in
like,
this.
yeah, this is just a builder, like you said, isn't it? So let's go to, So, it says Gemini most likely to get high and decide they should put on more glitter. Read more here. Let's read more. Gemini. It says, Geminis are the twins of the zodiac, so they're always looking for their match. On their one true bud, they may smoke well with a partner in crime. Gemini people get a bad rap, but it is mostly because they know how to get what they want out of life, and that strength can intimidate others. They are talkative, energetic personalities and will come out after a few hits of weed. You'll get your ear talked off by these chatty air signs.
Yeah.
Astrologer Caitlin McGarry says, Geminis do well with high quality bud or vape pens. They don't have time for any new cannabis product on the market that might seem too absurd. They should choose strains that help them focus and stay alert. Geminis are very cerebral. They do 8 things at once. Astrologer Lisa Stardust, who's a Gemini herself, says that Geminis overextend themselves and work too hard to the point of exhaustion. She adds anything too heady will leave them in couch lock, which is not where the Geminis like to be. However, anything too speedy might also cause them to combust as they do things in pairs. Horoscope writer Randon Rosenbaum adds that they are signed most likely to take 2 hits before passing along the joint, living by the puff puff pass rule.
True.
Their best strain is White Widow, which is a creative hybrid, and the worst strain is Deaf Bubba, sedative indica. That's what it says for yours.
Yeah.
But there's another one I read, which was, I think, a bit more of a better sign. But yeah, man, like, it's interesting because, again, it goes to, like, that's just like medical astrology, where if you know you're of a particular element, then, like, you always have to have the opposite thing to balance it out. So that's why I find that, because I've got a Taurus moon, which is Earth, and my sun is water. So I find that indicas, I don't know, they get me a bit moody and like a bit too physical and down to earth. Whereas when I have a sativa, it brings me up and lightens me up and gets me more creative. So I personally prefer sativas.
Yeah, I feel like with that opposition, with your sun and moon opposition, because the sun is your actions, right, and your moon is your
Yeah,
reactions. So I feel like in a sense, sometimes it might be that there can be like a tug of war, in the sense of, like, maybe sometimes you just want to just sit down and lay back and chill, but then maybe um Scorpio might want to get up and do things or just explore. Yeah. But I mean, the cool thing about
definitely.
this is I feel like with oppositions, you kind of get both sides of the world. So in a sense, you're kind of like
Yeah,
fortunate enough to see things from both sides. But the bad thing about it, bro, is the fact that this can be a tug of war. So sometimes it might take longer, but because it's taking longer and you have to put in more work, you actually, when you do get to it, you actually do it pretty well.
bro, you see what you just said there
hmm
is spot on. Like with me, yeah,
hmm
like just say I've got something in my mind, right, and I want to do it. I will do it, right? I will eventually get there. But like you said, it takes me long. Like I'm not one of them people that will just get up and do it. I will eventually. But
hmm
it's like you said, there's this battle. It's like with me, like I wait for the right time, if that makes sense. I'm quite.
Yeah.
I guess that's more of my Scorpio kind of trait, like tactical and waiting for the right time to do something. Do you get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like, so that opposition thing you said is really true, because like I see that in myself sometimes, like where I want to do something, but then your emotions are saying no, not yet, and then you just having this little tug of war, but then eventually I'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, my moon and my sun are in conjunct, so luckily I'm
Wow.
lucky. But you know, my sun is opposing my Mars, which is a good thing and a bad thing. There's always a good and a bad, you know. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
my
cool.
Mars, I've got a weak Mars place. Where's your Mars?
My Mars is in Sagittarius and it's in the ninth house, so it's not that bad.
Yeah, see,
Pretty good.
my Mars is in Libra. It's no good.
Hmm.
I'm like, but it's conjunct with Venus, which when people have read my chart, they say, "Oh, that's good," but because that's like Adam and Eve, isn't it? Like Mars is Adam and Eve is Venus, so it's like it's
Yeah.
good that they're together, but like Mars don't like Libra because obviously it rules in Aries, so it's in the opposite
Hmm.
sign. So that's why, like,
Yeah.
in medically, that will play up my kidneys,
Yeah.
basically.
Kidneys. Yeah. You know, it's interesting. In a man's chart, Venus represents what he is attracted to in a woman, but in a woman's chart, Mars is what you look at to indicate what she's attracted to, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, they are opposing like that in a sense. Mars being very masculine and Venus being feminine.
yeah. I mean, I guess Venus in Libra is like, yeah, I do like artistic women. I do. Like, I'm not into like. I love like women that are into astrology and. Do you get now in my life? Do you get what I'm saying? Rather
Yeah,
than just liking someone because they're hot or whatever. Obviously, that plays a part for me as well. I
yeah.
do.
I mean,
I'm not just like. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm all just go with the spirit and not because that would be like I'll be lying. Do you get what I mean? So I
yeah,
do like physical appearance is important, but it's not the main thing. It's got to be a balance of both. Hence, I guess why it's in Libra.
yeah.
My Venus is
Exactly.
in Libra because I
Yeah.
like back to like I like women who are feminine, but at the same time, I like women who are like
Logical.
strong and know their stuff. Like for example, if you think of Libra, you've got Venus, which is feminine, but you've got that Saturn in which
Hmm.
exalts in Venus, and that's
Libra,
what
yeah,
more
in
of an
Libra, and Libra.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, in Libra,
Saturn
sorry,
is exalted in Libra.
yeah, in Libra, sorry, I said that wrong. Yeah, so like that kind of like might give them a bit more of a not so like washy kind of vibe. It might, can I say, not a masculine, but like more of a strong character, if that makes sense. Because I find that like Venus women,
Libra.
Libran women, yeah, they're very like beautiful and sexy to the eye, but I do see that a bit of like seriousness and like that kind of Saturnian energy in there as well. Like for example, like Cardi B, you know who Cardi B is, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
She's a Libra.
What's up? What's up? You talk Ukraine? Wait, that's my dad.
Hi there,
Hey, how's it going, brother?
good brother.
How are you?
All good, brother. Yourself?
Where's he from?
Hmm?
Where's he from?
I'm from the UK.
United Kingdom, UK.
Oh, that's so far, man.
Hello.
This is Canada.
Yeah, I'm on Canada. England.
Oh, England. Let's go.
But like for example, like Cardi B, she's a Libra, and so is Kim Kardashian, and I see that like they've got that very Venetian like exotic, like nice look, but at the same time they've got that like bit of that Saturnian seriousness in them as well, and I see that in Libra women. They've got the like Venus and the Saturn in them. So it just all depends. I find because I'm a Leo ascendant, I do for some reason I connect well with like women who have like Leo, a lot of like maybe like a Leo moon or that are Leos, and I find. Do you find that with yourself? You connect to particular, or
Yeah,
you like
a lot. So it's like first and foremost because I am myself. The air element, I do tend to connect very well with the Aquarius and Libra. I'm more drawn to Libra, but I think it's mainly because of my Venus being in Taurus, even though it's not Libra, it's
yeah,
also,
still in a good
yeah, exactly. But also Gemini is also, but I'm always drawn to Earth signs like Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus. Taurus always because my Venus is in Taurus. I'm always drawn to women whom are Tauruses, Taurians, and always ask them, like, yo, what's your sign? And then it's like I'm never surprised. Like when she's like, I'm a Taurus. I'm like, of course.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? How like we like certain energies that we just like. There's something about the energy that just
Yeah, but
again that goes to do with like your Taurus field and how your Taurus field resonates. Because I guess
exactly, yeah.
if you've got similar energies, then you're attracting each other. Do you get what I mean? Or you find someone attractive, or whatever. So like,
yeah,
I find that like
but
it's weird. It's like, for example, like Jennifer Lopez back in the day. You know who J-Lo is, obviously, don't you?
Yeah, Jennifer Lopez. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Like for example, I used to think, oh, she's so nice and whatever, but she's a Leo. So
yeah.
do you get what I mean? I find that like because I'm a Leo ascendant, and they say that you do like people. Like, a lot of people, like I've heard this being like said, like that you attract like what someone who's like you or might look like you or might have the same energies you do. Do you get what I'm saying?
Because your ascendant. Like whenever I do a reading for people, I like to utilize this analogy in the sense of like comparing your ascendant to the clothes you wear. So for instance, like this shirt I'm wearing, right? This shirt with the stars and everything, it's a favorite. I like this shirt. It's one of my favorite shirts. And I say this because like your ascendant, it's like the traits that you like within yourself that in a sense is like in the forefront that people see before they even interact with you. You know what I mean? So it's like maybe before someone even interacts with me, they might perceive my Piscean ascendant, which is someone who is, very kind and things of that nature.
Yeah, I see that a lot in you, actually. Like that's why I thought you was a Pisces for all this time, because I remember you mentioned to me you're a Pisces ascendant, but like for some reason I thought you was a Pisces sun, but just the way you look and the way you are, I do see that Piscean energy in you. Do you get what I mean? But like, yes, I mean, do you see the Leo energy in me? Be honest. No, I if you don't, it doesn't matter.
No,
that's what
bro.
I like Pisces.
Bro, to be honest, I feel like I see more Taurus, and I was gonna say Taurus, but then I remember you're like your Sun in Scorpio, so I'm like, wait, that's the opposite. But then I remembered your Moon in Taurus. Yeah, I see more Taurus. More of Taurus. Yeah,
that's good. No, that's good. I like hearing people's opinions and like to see how other people perceive it. Do you get what I mean? I mean, Yeah, because people say that, like, there's also astrologers say that your moon sign is really who you are, because that's how you react to things and how you
Yeah,
emotionally are. But
yeah.
like,
Like you can make a chart just from your moon, you know, so like where your moon is, like the house. Well, I haven't really looked into this, but I understand you can do this, you know. So I would assume because I'm Gemini moon in the third house, then my the next would be, you know, Cancer in the fourth house. And I feel like this would just simply indicate that in the home I react. Like in a home situation, I would have the tendency to react in, you know, a Cancerian caring way, you know, and then so on and so on and so on. But I don't even know if I got that right because I would have
no,
to
that
look
is
more
right,
deeper into that.
because
Yeah,
yeah,
I would
because
have
if
to look
Cancer
deeper
in
into
your
that.
fourth house,
Hmm.
then that's
No,
how
no,
you'll
no.
react.
Well, from my ascendant, my Cancer, my Cancer would be, I mean, my fourth house, I think, is in Gemini. Yeah, my fourth house is in Gemini.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So I
my
think,
fourth house is
so,
Scorpio
so, yeah, fourth house is Scorpio. That's interesting. So from the
and fifth,
ascendant,
and a
but
bit of fifth as well, because my sun, I've
mhm.
got 3 planets in Scorpio. I've got Sun, Pluto, and Saturn. But Saturn and Pluto are in the fourth, but my sun is in the fifth.
Yeah,
But they're all in Scorpio.
yeah, but you know, I think you should really look at you know, the chart that you can make from your first house. You looked into that? You know, like for instance, if your first house, me, because I'm Pisces, that's my first house. My second house would be in Aries, so this would just simply
Oh,
mean
you
that,
mean full house? A full house chart
yeah,
where
yeah, yeah,
each sign fits to each house.
yeah,
Equal
because yeah,
house, is that what you're talking about?
yeah, yeah,
Equal house
exactly,
chart. Yeah, 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 I know
yeah.
that. Yeah,
And
I've not
now,
looked at that. I have looked
yeah,
at it, but not
but
in
you should.
depth.
It's interesting, very interesting. But yeah, you know, this is where all of the energies are incorporated within you. But you know, also I was gonna say earlier, so the full house chart, like you said, this more indicates, in a sense, like the circumstances you're gonna be in your life. So you know, with my first house being in Pisces, I'm gonna first house is the self, so I'm gonna be very Piscean, and then you know the second house being in Aries, I'm gonna value things more of the mental because Aries rules the head, logic, you know, and my things I value, I might not be too attached to, in a sense, I want to say, like because I'm Taurus, you know, like things I value they are important to me, but it's like my you know my father has destroyed so many stuff like of mine, you know, like he would destroy this and that, like my laptop or etc. And it's like it would get to me, but I'm like just so easy going, and you know I learned detachment, so I always let it go. And what I realized is that what I truly value is like knowledge, you know, because Aries is the head and things of that nature. Yeah, yeah.
Can I ask, brother,
Mm.
what your family think of you, like studying astrology and getting in? What's their take on it?
All right, so you know it's pretty cool. So originally I came from Africa. When I
Oh
was
wow!
eight, when I was 8 years old, I came to America.
What part of
So
Africa did you come from?
Central Chad. So back there, I was named after one of my uncles, right? One of my uncles' names. So my real name is Saleh. So one of my uncles' name was Saleh as well. And what this guy did, he was also doing readings, like predictions and things of that nature. So, you know, my dad, he says that he's like, I mean, it's not particularly a surprise because your uncle, whom you're named by, was doing the same thing. And I guess, you know, also, I don't know who it was, but someone I was talking to was like, yeah, you know, your name is going to indicate how you're going to portray yourself in a sense simply because names hold vibrations, you know,
Yeah,
but,
exactly. Because if you're
um,
being called something all the time,
mhm.
which is a particular vibration, then that vibration will be attached to you. Because it's like, for example, for me, right? My name's Mehmet, yeah, right. But Mehmet is just a shortened name for Muhammad. You know, like Muhammad, the prophet, the messenger.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
very
obviously,
interesting.
like, for example, I have, like, my North Node is in Gemini, and, like, in the 11th house. And I've made a crazy. Oh, see, this is. I'm going into something here, but we'll save this for another show. I've made, like, a really. You know how, like, Jesus is connected to, like, Jupiter and, like, Zeus and, like, Pisces?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've come up, like, with an idea that, like, Muhammad the Prophet in Islam is connected to, like, Mercury
Yeah,
and
he is.
Aquarius, because he's the messenger and Mercury is the messenger. And in Aquarius, there's do you know about, like, deacons? You know, like, each sign is split into 3 sections. Do you know about
Each
that?
sign is. Are you talking about like the degrees?
Yeah, you know, like, obviously each sign is 30 degrees, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But each sign is split up into 3 parts
Yeah,
of
yeah,
10
yeah. I get what
degrees.
you're saying. Like,
Yeah, they're the
so every
deacon.
10 degree, they kind of in a sense shift energy, right? Like
Yeah,
a Gemini who is like this degree will act different than a Gemini that's this degree. But I mean,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, one of them deacons
Mm-hmm.
in Aquarius is called Pegasus, which is like a white horse. And Muhammad rode to heaven on a white horse in the Quran. And Mercury exalts in Aquarius. And he's the messenger, Mercury the messenger. So that's why he would be God's messenger. And it relates to the I know, because why would he know why would only God give him the message to give to everyone? Do you get what I'm saying? So I feel like Aquarius symbolizes that pouring of the spiritual waters, and he's the messenger of who's pouring it out. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I've explained it very briefly and all over the place, but I would like to, because I was like, I had some notes that when I do a show with Santos, I wanted to talk to him about this, because he's very, like, knowledgeable in astrotheology. So, because I've read the Quran and I've made so many connections with things. I'm like, just like the Bible, there's so much astrotheology in it. But it's just, sometimes when you explain it to people that don't have a clue, it might sound all over the place, but I've definitely, like, seen that there's some connection between, like, Aquarius and the Prophet Muhammad. Like, I've noticed that. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but this is why I want to discuss my ideas with people who know their astrotheology and see if I'm along the right lines. Can I ask, brother, you know where you're from in Africa, like, what's the main religion of what they practice? Is it Islam
Yeah, it is.
or Christianity?
It's Islam.
Okay, yeah. Same
Yeah.
as where my parents are from, yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm born in the UK, but my parents are from Cyprus.
Cyprus.
Yeah, it's just in the Mediterranean, right near Israel, and
Yeah.
it's in between, like, Israel and North Africa.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Yeah, but it's like, yeah, yeah, my parents, they do practice Islam, and when I first, it was very interesting because when I first told them about astrology and what I do is okay. So, religion, one of the things they do is they, in a sense, I want to say promote ignorance. Like they want their followers to be ignorant, so they put certain things there so then they are not to go looking at I guess astrology or this or that or that.
Exactly.
Like for instance, Christianity talks about this and that is paganism and they shouldn't practice it, yet Christianity is built upon paganism, and it's like the Pope, also the symbols, bro, like the fish, that the hat that the Pope wears,
Yeah,
and just the symbols. It's all astrological, but on top of that, you know, the Pope, they are like in a sense sun worshippers, I want to say. But so I guess there's this idea in Muslim that if someone is able to predict, even though this is all astrology, I mean scientific, but if someone is able to predict, then this means that they have called forth a jinn, and that jinn is like telling them what to predict. You know, I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah. Yeah,
I
I
just study.
understand that. But the thing is, it's not predictions. Like this is like what I was trying to get at in our first show. Like it's not
Mhm.
about predicting; it's about knowing. Do you get what I'm saying? We don't, like
Exactly.
me and you, don't predict that this is this and this is going to happen. We just
Mhm.
understand the energy. This is why we can maybe see, this person's acting like a Taurus, or this person's acting like a. Like obviously, I'm sure you play that game a lot, where you think, "Oh, I wonder what this person is," and I do it all the time. And I'm not saying I'm always right, but I'd say I'm more right than I am wrong. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, like, again, it's just, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
same.
we're never all gonna always agree anyway. So it is what it is, man. Like,
Yeah.
just
Always
as
confuse
long as we're
Pisces.
using it in a positive light to help each other and to enlighten people, that's what the main thing is.
Yeah,
Because at
exactly.
the end of
Also,
the day, everything is a tool, right? You can use the Bible to enslave someone, or you can use it to free them and show them that it's all esoteric science and it's about biology and it's about astrology. Do you get what I'm saying? There's,
yeah, yeah.
like, it just depends on how you utilize that tool. Like, for example, like money, you can utilize it to do good things, but you can utilize it to do bad things, like go to war and make bombs and whatever, or you can utilize it to make shelters for homeless people. Everything's a tool. It just depends on how you use it, basically.
Yeah, everything has its two polar opposites, you know, negative and positive, always. You know, like
Definitely.
I like to say, I don't know if I said this earlier. I think I might have, but you know, like the people practicing Reiki healing, the people that
Reiki, yeah.
yeah, Reiki, the people that do tremendous miracles by utilizing energy, and the people whom are satanic and are calling forth satanic entities, they're both utilizing the same energy, like same chi, you know, because
But yeah, but just
chi
using it in a
is,
different way.
yeah, exactly. It's all about the intentions. Like chi
Yeah,
is a tool, and it's the intent that determines everything, you know.
exactly. It's like, for example, right? A lot of people associate with Saturn with Satan and evilness and being bad and whatever, and but that's not always the case, because Saturn is about like discipline and boundaries, and we need that in our life, because if we had no
Yeah,
discipline and no boundaries, then anything would go and just everything would be chaos. So what I'm
yeah,
saying is we need that Saturnian energy, but what the elites are doing is using that disciplining boundary in the sense of saying, oh, you can't smoke cannabis, or you can't do this, or you
ooh,
can't do that. And if you do, we're going to
yeah,
punish you. They're using like the archetype of Satan, but like you said, with a negative intent. Whereas we could use the
Saturn.
archetype of Saturn or Satan or however you want to call it. And you could just say, oh, we want to be disciplined and we want to be um, good, healthy eaters and we want to save our seed. And do you get what I'm saying? That's still a part
Exactly.
of Saturnian
Yeah.
energy, but it's just doing it for a good cause.
Yeah, you know, so in my readings, whenever I get to Saturn, one of the things I like to, an analogy I like to utilize is I like to be like, so you can perceive Saturn as a farmer, and now what Saturn has done is it has taken you and it has planted you, and now it's like it has indeed like cut off access to, whatever placement Saturn is in. But what Saturn is now doing is it's like every day it's like watering you and it's giving you water, and then one day you're gonna like root and you're gonna sprout and it's gonna be beautiful. But another thing I like to say is Saturn is like, it's responsible for putting us through trials and tribulation, but it's like diamonds are formed under pressure, and that's what Saturn is doing. It's like making you go through all of this stuff, so then
Yeah,
you
it's like
understand how to channel that energy that Saturn is, giving you. It was also very beautiful because last time I was talking to Santos, he mentioned how Saturn is also, it indicates where we are gonna find, great success in our life, because Saturn is where you are receiving discipline and everything. So it's like a lose-win situation, but
it's like the tough love.
exactly.
It's like the one that teaches you your lessons, but in the end, it will all be worth it. And
Exactly.
mine's in Scorpio, and I can definitely see that. Like, it makes sense for me.
And then it's also conjuncting your sun. Saturn is conjuncting your sun.
Yeah, but I think Saturn is in like 9th degree and my sun's like 26 degrees. So they're not right conjunct, but they're still in the same sign, obviously.
Yeah,
like my Pluto, I think my Pluto is 0 degrees Scorpio and my Saturn is 9 degrees and my sun is 26 degrees Scorpio. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's very interesting stuff, man. But brother, I don't mean to cut you short, but I have to kind of call it a day now because
cool, man.
I got work tomorrow, man. But this has been a really good build. I'm interested. It's good that we did it, even though we didn't kind of plan to do it.
Structurize it.
Yeah, I'll be like interesting to watch it back and see how it all sounds. It sounds good, man. But obviously, always good to connect with you, man. And like I said, for anyone watching, me and Soli are going to hopefully be doing a lot of work together, and we're going to be touching up on different subjects and relating it back to astrology and how it all connects and works. Not just astrology, but the thing is, once you understand astrology, it connects to everything anyway. So kind of like our language we use to decipher things, basically. Would you agree, Soli?
Definitely. I agree. Once you understand astrology, you understand everything else opens up. Like Santos says, astrology, astrology explains the 12 energies of the universe. It also explains cycles and things of that nature, Everything can be tied back down to astrology.
Definitely.
Yeah, bro. It's really nice talking to you, man. Such a nice build.
Definitely, man.
Yeah, namaste, bro. You have a nice rest, and hopefully we can talk next week. Legit, even though this was a nice talk.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah. And for the viewers, we hope you guys can take something out of this, because this is very informational dense.
And like I said, we've only touched on things on the surface, really. We haven't even gone in. So
dove in deep. Yeah, true.
It's all good.
Yeah, but yeah, like they say, namaste.